back. Episode 2 of the podcast. I'm here with the script writer, the pro, the enforcer. I'm here with Garrett Kriebel.
It's a pleasure to be here.
It's great to have you on. You know, one of the first couple episodes, I know I needed to have someone like you on the show. I'm excited to we have a lot of topics to discuss. So
Should be fun.
yeah. So if we can just get right into it. NFL Sunday is tomorrow.
Some games today as well, Saturday.
Couple games today. Who are our Super Bowl predictions this year? Obviously, we have our contenders, and then we have the teams. In my
Some
opinion,
pretenders.
there's contenders, pretenders, and then there's a few teams that are just a little bit above the rest.
I think if you look at the AFC, I think obviously you have to keep an eye on Mahomes and the Chiefs. They may not be having the season that everyone expected, but it's still Mahomes. Anything can happen. Kelsey looks like he's lost a step. Maybe in the playoffs.
But Rashee Rice
has
your guy.
looked. My guy, he has looked great all year.
Rashee has been very good. He's only been getting better too. I think.
Last 5 weeks, 7 catches every game. So he's been getting the workload. I think you look more in the AFC. Like the Dolphins, obviously, but they've lost some bad games.
And I don't know, can you trust Tua? I don't think you can.
I don't think you can trust Tua to bring you to a Super Bowl.
He's not a QB. I think Hurts falls into the same as he's not a QB who can win you, like will you to wins.
No,
like Mahomes or like Allen maybe.
He'll play good quarterback for you, but he's not going to be a game changer.
Like I think that's what you need, and that like Hurts could do that to some extent last year. This year, I'm not sure if he can do it with our system and the way the offense has been playing.
But I think some contenders in the AFC. You have the Chiefs, obviously, the Dolphins. I think some
Texans,
some sleepers, the Texans.
They lost. Tank
Yeah.
and Nico Collins is hurt.
It's gonna be rough for them.
Stroud is banged up, so I don't.
I think the Browns could make a run. I mean, that defense is special. That defense of the Browns is amazing. But I think your two main predictions for me, in the AFC at least, are the Ravens and the Bills. I mean, the Ravens have been unreal. Lamar's been playing in MVP Lamar form, and their defense has been unreal. Roquan Smith and Patrick
They have one of the best defenses in the last 20. It might be the best since their defense with like Ray and Terrell Suggs and all of that.
Yeah, I think Patrick Queen and Roquan in the middle is just unreal.
It is. And their corners and their secondary has been very good.
Their secondary, they're not even big name guys, but they're
good.
Yes, they've been very good. I think the Bills. Josh Allen's my MVP right now. We'll get into that.
Yeah, we will get into that in a little bit.
But I think the Bills are a serious contender.
I agree. I think that
they just beat up on the Cowboys. Extremely close game with the Eagles. Some calls go different ways. That's a loss for the Birds. But.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the Bills are good. Obviously, you have Josh Allen and
Diggs.
And I think James Cook is.
We saw what James Cook did last week.
He's an underrated running back. I think he's a really good pass catcher. He's efficient. He's quick. He's shifty.
Definitely.
Kincaid.
They
get him more involved.
If they get him more involved, I mean, fantasy sake, they better get him more involved. But
Kincaid's definitely a playmaker. I think that a sleeper team, 2 sleeper teams actually. I think the Jaguars could make it to the championship.
No, I completely disagree.
If they get an easy path there, I can see the Bills losing and doing what they did earlier in the year and having just a bad loss.
Yeah.
So, like when they lost to the Jets. Or did they lose to the Patriots too? I don't remember.
Who?
Bills.
I don't think they lost to the Patriots.
I think they've had some very close games against some bad teams. And you kind of never know what you're going to get with that.
Yeah.
He's been great as of recent, but you don't know. He could have just a terrible game where he throws 3 picks in the first half.
He could be awful some games.
And I don't know. Doug Peterson just has a way to get wins.
Doug Peterson does have a way to get wins. I just don't think.
Lawrence has
Trevor Lawrence has
has a concussion.
Lawrence has a concussion. He's been banged up. ETN's been banged up all year.
Yeah.
And I mean, they don't have like a solidified main option on offense right now.
Yeah, I think
great.
a lot of us, especially fantasy football players, thought Ridley was going to be back to like his Falcons form. But
And sometimes you see it like once in a blue moon, he'll have that 150-yard, 1 touchdown, like 8
He's had a couple.
Nice nice games, but I think that main option on that team is Evan Ingram right now. And I mean, Evan Ingram's been great, but he's not a guy that can be a number 1 option on a Super Bowl team.
But I don't know. I think Lawrence. A lot of people are on Twitter. Obviously, a lot of Twitter haters of Trevor Lawrence. I think he's good. I think very talented quarterback. He's just not surrounded with the right pieces.
No.
I like ETN. He's really not that good.
No, he's not.
He's averaging like 4 yards a carry.
Yeah.
He might be averaging I think he's averaging 3.8 actually, which
He's
is
not
just
a very
it's terrible.
efficient
He's
runner.
not a very efficient runner, and I think that Lawrence just doesn't really have the help he needs around him, which you can't win. You can't with AFC top tier contenders like the Bills and the Ravens. I don't think you can go up with a supporting cast that Lawrence has and expect to put up a fight.
And speaking of supporting casts, your Chargers, I mean, superstars all over the field, and they're not even going to make the playoffs.
No. The Chargers do not have superstars all over the field. They did.
Okay.
Eckler is not a superstar.
I agree. Eckler is, in my opinion,
if you're watching
the
this
worst
Austin
pure
Eckler, you are the worst runner in the NFL that still has a full-time starting job. And I made a very bad mistake drafting him this year in fantasy. But that's not
the Chargers bias.
It was, but that's not even why. Like, he's been so inefficient. He hasn't even. Like, his calling card is pass catching. He's been dropping passes. So.
And then Staley fired, which you must be happy to see.
I'm loving that move. After a 40-point loss, I think it should have happened after the Jaguars game. It could have happened multiple other times this year before now, but I think that was just an embarrassment on national TV. You saw him on the sideline. He knew. He had that look in his face. He knew his time was up. They also fired their GM, who we can just go back the last couple of years.
Awful.
Not a good draft.
No.
You drafted Herbert, but that wasn't a steep. That wasn't like a.
I mean, Quentin Johnson. That's all you.
Yeah, you drafted Herbert and Slater. They're 2 All-Pro players, but it's not like they were like under the radar guys.
Yeah, no.
They were
your top of the
clear
class.
pick. They were the clear pick. And then the 2020 draft, I'm not sure if they have one more starter other than Herbert who they drafted. They drafted Josh Palmer, who's okay, but then 2 years ago, you drafted Isaiah Spiller, 3rd round. It's not what your team needs. There's holes all around on the roster, and they pick backups consistently, and then they pick players who aren't good, like Asante Samuel. He's not that. He was drafted in the 2nd round.
Yeah.
He's okay.
But I think you drafted him off of Navy.
Yeah, and he's like a Walmart Trayvon Diggs. He's good at playing the ball, but he's not really good.
Yeah, and I think.
Then you hand out huge contracts to Derwin. Bosa.
Derwin's been awful.
Derwin's been one of the worst safeties in football.
Yeah.
Khalil Mack's been good. But
I think it all comes down to skill. And I mean, I have my fair share of opinions on NFL coaches. And I think there's bad NFL coaches and there's stupid NFL coaches. And Staley is both. I mean, you look at bad NFL coaches, you obviously, Staley, you look at
Arthur Smith.
I don't think Arthur Smith's a bad coach. I think he's on the opposite side of the spectrum. Who's the Saints coach?
You think Dennis Allen?
Dennis Allen, I think, is a bad coach, as well as
Ron Rivera.
Ron Rivera is an awful coach. But I think you look at them like bad coaching, just like awful play calling, not knowing how to manage the game, control the game.
Brandon Staley's one of the worst game manager coaches I've seen, and decision making when it comes down to the clutch, need a 4th and 2, 4th and 3, and it might be your own 45.
Yeah.
He'll punt the ball away, but if it's in the second quarter, he's going for it. If it's the fourth, he's punting, and it's those type of decisions like that's your brand, and then in the times where it matters most, it happened a couple times in the playoffs. If you're afraid to do what got you there to that point, I just think you're not there.
I mean, you look at the opposite side of the spectrum, I would say, they're just stupid NFL coaches. I mean, Arthur Smith has a boatload of talent on that Falcons team. Bijan, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, 3 young guys, all under the age of 23, that could be superstars in this league. But Arthur Smith just decides, oh, let's play Matt Collins, let's play Jonnu Smith, let's play Tyler Algier. And I mean, part of it is, okay, you caught Bijan. It's the QB play. Desmond Ridder is awful, and I think it's smart for them to bench him the rest of the year. Say, look, we've seen all we needed to see. You're done in Atlanta. We're drafting a quarterback. Your time's done.
I was a little bit surprised, I guess, looking back on it last year's QB class when outside of Stroud, Young, and AR, it wasn't too pretty. So I'm assuming they're reading this year, but like their record's not that good. It's not that good this year. It's not that bad this year. So it's not like they're gonna fall into like the top 5, 6, or 7 draft picks to where they can get a good QB. So I think it'll be interesting to see what they do. So
NFC side.
Yeah, we have the NFC.
I think we'll see. We'll hold off on the Eagles for now.
Okay.
Go take the Eagles out of the picture right now. We'll get back to that.
Obviously, my top team is the 49ers.
I agree.
They're the best team. They might be the most well-built team of all time. They don't have one.
They don't have a hole. No, they don't.
Ufunga got hurt.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't know if there's a weak spot.
Yeah, no.
Their defensive line, they have Chase Young, Nick Bosa.
Who's been bad, but it's still Nick Bosa. Any given day of the week,
they have speaking of linebacker cores, they do have Javon Hargrave. They have
Eric Armstead,
Trey Greenlaw, and
Fred Warner, who's the best.
That's
best interior lineman in the league.
Other than Roquan and Patrick Queen, I don't know that duo of Greenlaw and Warner is up there. Everyone raves about them. Their coaches, they're just amazing, and we know Fred Warner is the best on there. They're on the offensive side. Purdy,
he doesn't need to be. He's good enough. He doesn't need to be that superstar that we were talking about earlier. He doesn't have to be. All he has to be able to do is find his open receivers, read the defense, and I think that'll be perfectly fine.
When you have Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, and Brandon Ayuk,
you don't need
Trent Williams on the left side, you don't need anything else.
Yeah.
As long as you don't have someone incompetent at QB, you're going to be able to at least make it, I think, to the championship round.
I mean, obviously you have the Cowboys, and I think the Cowboys are a good team.
They are.
I think Dak Prescott's playing at an MVP level.
I would agree.
I mean, do they have the team that the 49ers do? No, not at all. Do they have the coaching the 49ers do? No. But I think what's going to come back and haunt Dallas in this playoffs is the cockiness of their owner and head coach. Because Jerry Jones is a known guy to get in over his head about everything. And I think Mike McCarthy, working with Rodgers and Favre, you can
he got lucky.
You can get lucky with that, and that's what gets you wins, and that's what gets you a coaching job. But I don't think he's a bad coach, but I also don't think he's one of those top coaches that's going to really change a game for a team. Now, do I think Dan Quinn, as a defensive coordinator, could change a game? Yes. I think he is one of, if not the best defensive coordinator in the NFL. But I also think that McCarthy, I also think it's really going to come down on how the defense plays. Because, 31 points to Buffalo. The offense
They did shut the Eagles down.
They shut the Eagles down. They didn't shut Buffalo down, but they shut the Eagles down. And, Buffalo, say what you want about Buffalo, say what you want about how the Eagles have been playing. They're very similar teams. And I think that's going to be the thing with Dallas this year is that they don't have a lot of flexibility in between their games. They're either blowing teams out or they're getting blown out. There's not
So, we look. Last week they let up 31 points to Buffalo. They scored 10.
Yeah.
The week before that they played the Eagles. They beat them by 20, 33-30.
Yep.
Then they let up 35 points to the Seahawks. But then they played the Commanders. They let up 10. Carolina they let up 10. Like their point differential is so.
It's skewed.
It's so far. Their point differential is probably the best in the NFL. But
they also let up a lot of
blowing teams out who should be blown out, like the Commanders and the Panthers and the Giants. But then when they play good teams, like a 42-10 loss to the Niners, that's it's a little bit. It makes you wonder how good they actually are. I guess we'll see tomorrow. They play the Dolphins.
That'll be
which should be a good game, and then the week after that they play the Lions.
Yeah.
So 2 good offenses for the Cowboys to go up against.
The Lions.
For a test before.
The Lions could make a run, but I just don't think Goff is that.
If he's
guy.
pressured,
he's
not. He has no chance.
And I don't think Amon-Ra is this great receiver that people bring him up to be as well. I just think he's very good. He's a very good receiver. He's a top 10, top 12 guy.
Great number.
He's a great number 2. I just don't think he could be a superstar receiver in the league that people are talking about.
Well, because he's a slot. I think he's a slot guy.
Yeah.
So he's not going to be. He's like Cooper Kupp.
You look at Puka Nacua this year. Puka Nacua, there's no way that Puka Nacua is the most skilled rookie receiver.
He is.
But
I will say he is a good receiver. He's a very good receiver
because he's playing his role perfectly.
Yeah.
And that's what Amon-Ra's doing, and that's what's getting him all these yards and all these accolades and what people look. But I think the Lions could make a run. Their defense is pretty good, but sometimes that defense is awful.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
Thanksgiving, they got blown out by the Packers.
Yeah.
The Packers might make the playoffs.
I want to talk about the Packers for a little bit. I absolutely love Jordan Love. He has flashes of an elite top 5 QB.
He does. I think
his
he
arm
has
talent.
No help. But
no, he doesn't really have much help. His arm talent, off the charts.
Yeah.
He makes the most difficult throws sometimes look just like it was a regular old throw. And he has a little bit of, call me crazy, a little bit of Rodgers in it.
He does, and that's what happens
when he gets there and that little flick of the wrist throw,
a little sidearm, the foot
40 yards downfield on the money. He's really good.
He is.
And when they got all the kinks out of their offense early in the season, and now you have Matt LaFleur, who last week I did call an overrated coach, I believe, last episode. But he is a great offensive mind. So if he just has a competent core around the QB, the offense is going to thrive, and their defense is solid. So I would like to see how the Packers fare.
Yeah.
I could see them maybe beating the Eagles.
Anything could happen.
If we match up against the Packers, you might think it's going to be an easy win for the Eagles, but I don't know at this point.
The rest of the NFC, not even worth talking about.
No.
Like the Saints, the Falcons, whoever comes out of that division is going to be blown out first round. But you're the Eagles, and I think I have extremely strong opinions about the Eagles. I know you do as well. Yeah. I'll start off with an extreme hot take.
Okay.
Set it out now. Jalen Hurts is not the guy, should not be a franchise quarterback in this system. And I think what happened last year when Jalen Hurts was a fluke, he had the best quarterback coach, offensive coordinator in the league by far.
Yes.
Shane Steichen, the Colts. Shane Steichen.
They're 8-5 with Gardner Minshew or whatever they are.
The Colts. Shane Steichen has the Colts at 8-5 with Gardner Minshew. He is one of the best quarterback minds, offensive minds in this NFL. You lose him, and the team.
And
is just
he
not
was,
been good.
I believe Steichen was with the Chargers for Herbert's rookie year.
He was.
When he threw 4,500 yards, 40 TDs, rookie of the year.
Shane Steichen, I think, is one of the more underrated guys in the league. He's just a great offensive mind, and he knows how to have a quarterback.
He can get the best out of his QBs, no matter how good they are, and I think we're seeing that how skilled they are, arm strength wise, or like traditional QB. He has Minshew. He's getting the most out of Minshew that he possibly can. He's also got the most out of Hurts, who is not the most physically gifted guy when it comes to.
I do think Hurts is dealing with an injury this year.
He definitely
that is going to come out.
Is.
That's going to come out at the end of the year.
His running speed is definitely down.
100%. But I think this team just hasn't played well. I think moving on from Desai, I think, was the right option. Matt Patricia, we'll see. I mean, I think
I don't know
he played well against. I think he played well against Seattle the other week, but the defense played well. I just don't think. No, there's a crisis in confidence in the locker room.
It definitely seems that way because Hurts's interview or his post-game interview answer was a little uncharacteristic of him.
It was.
You saw him getting a little frustrated at the podium, which he never does. He's always composed.
I hate Jalen Hurts' press conferences. I mean, act like a guy that's just won against the Buffalo Bills. Jalen, massive win.
I agree with you.
Oh yeah, it's all about perseverance. This team's just gritty guys. We play full confidence. No, you don't. Show some emotion. It annoys me that Jalen Hurts. I mean, if I'm Jake Elliott, I make the game time king to save you from.
You can say.
From saving you from you've been playing bad all game. I make a 57-yarder with 20-mile-an-hour winds to save you.
Pouring rain.
In a pouring rain, 20-mile-an-hour winds to save you.
Sitting there like that.
And you're sitting on the bench not saying anything? Like
at times. At times, it is a little frustrating, but I also think it goes a long way to see your leader steady, no matter what. The highs are high, the lows might be low, but he's always here. He's always steady. I do like that about him.
You know what you're gonna get with her.
I will disagree with you. I don't think last year was a fluke. I think he has that in him to have another, maybe not MVP level, but another top 5 QB, top 8 QB season. But the play calling has to be better than it is now. We are last in pre-snap motions in the NFL, pre-snap motion percentage. We have 3 non-tush push plays, 3 snaps where Hurts took the ball from under center.
Yeah.
3. Which is I'm not an offensive genius, and I'm not claiming to be, but I feel like if you are running everything out of the shotgun, you can't deceive defenses. I feel like the offense becomes predictable.
Especially with not moving. You're not moving. They don't
no
move.
motions.
Yeah.
No variation in where he's taking the snap. You saw what McCaffrey did last week.
You look at any
on the Manning cast.
Yes. You look at any NFL team. You watch any team. Even some of the worst teams. The Panthers. The guy's moving every play.
Yeah, I mean every snap motion doesn't result in
something good. But at least try it. Yeah. Try something to make it better.
No, we don't have innovation on the offense. We have Brian Johnson, who thinks he's in Madden.
He does.
And he thinks he's in Madden with Lamar Jackson. He's using the Ravens playbook with
he's using the Ravens RPO playbook. 99 speed Lamar.
That's not real life Brian Johnson. I think he definitely needs to go after this year. Maybe Sirianni takes the play calling back. I don't know. You don't like Sirianni.
I don't like Sirianni at all. I think he has his moments where it's like, yeah, I want that guy leading my
Sometimes
team.
He's corny though.
But sometimes it's like, just grow up. Like he's a child. He could be a child.
He definitely is immature on the sidelines. So, all right, I want to get to our award predictions. It's about to be the end of the regular
week
season
15.
of the NFL. It's week 16. Week
15.
No, it's week 16.
Oh my, it is.
2 weeks left in the NFL season. We start off with our coach of the year. My vote. We already said his name a few minutes earlier. I think it's Shane Steichen.
I would love to see it be Shane Steichen, and I think if they make a push in the playoffs, if they can really make a push, then yes. But I think just the way the NFL works, I think it's going to be Kyle Shanahan, just because one of the best teams in the league have won big games.
I can see it.
Going to make a run in the playoffs, but I think deserving-wise, Shane Steichen's won. I think if you really look at it, DeMeco Ryans has been a great head coach.
He has been.
I think, but like Shane Steichen, DeMeco Ryans, they've both been good. If LaFleur could have this Packers team do something, he could be up there. It's just you got to look at the guys that don't have these weapons that these hotshot teams do. Like Mike McDaniel, great coach, but he also has Tyreek Hill.
I agree. I think that the NFL, it works. The NFL awards favor the teams who have good weapons.
Yes, 100%.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Shanahan win it. I personally, like I said, I think it should be Steichen.
Yeah. You
have Minshew. The O-line's good. Defense is
Jonathan Taylor was out for half the year.
On paper, the defense might not look great, but they have an amazing defensive coordinator. I forget what his name is. Like we already said, we already talked about Shane Steichen.
Yeah.
So that's that.
Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, Defensive Rookie of the Year.
I think there's only two options, and I'm gonna go Jalen Carter. I mean, you don't see a rookie come in and give you 7 to 8 sacks.
No.
I think is what he's at right now. I just think he's just been so dominant.
He's a dominant force. That's what I was gonna say. He's a very, very.
He's in the back. If you watch those Eagles games, he's in the backfield 50% of the plays at least. And I think Devin Witherspoon obviously has to be in the conversation.
Yeah.
But I just don't think he has the stats to back it up. Has he been a lockdown quarter? 110%. Yeah. But he doesn't have the interception numbers. He doesn't have the pass deflection numbers.
I do not think it's going to be Devin Witherspoon. He's a great cornerback. I think so. Right here, the odds. Jalen Carter. I don't know if this is right. It's just updated today. Jalen Carter is minus 5,000.
Yes. They think Jalen Carter should be the clear.
Then it's Will Anderson at plus 2,000 and Devin Witherspoon at plus 2,500. Will Anderson's been good. He just hasn't been Jalen Carter.
Nobody's been Jalen Carter. And I think we knew this coming in.
There was the concerns about
his attitude
and the off the field issues, but Philadelphia is a great place for somebody like that to come because we have veterans in the locker room.
Yep.
We have Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, a leader like Hurts, who I think, and we have Kelsey, Lane Johnson.
Yep.
That goes a long way with the vets, and I think that definitely helped them out a lot.
Yeah.
So we can move over to Offensive Rookie of the Year. There's only one answer, C.J. Stroud.
Yeah, I think if the quarterback and awards weren't so QB heavy, I think you could definitely have a conversation for a lot of guys. I mean, Sam Laporta has been unreal.
And I think what he has done for that
he was the missing
offense,
piece for that Lions offense.
I think he does open up a lot. They traded Hawkinson, which I think Hawkinson is better than Laporta, but I don't know. So I don't really understand the trade there.
I think this offensive rookie class is going to be unreal. And I think if everyone had equal opportunities and everyone stayed healthy, I think this would be a lot better, closer and better race. I mean, if Bryce Young's in any type of better situation, who knows how he's going to be. If Richardson doesn't get hurt, I mean, he had 6 all-purpose.
Oh yeah, definitely.
He had 6 all-purpose.
Richardson.
He had 6 all-purpose touchdowns in the first 2 games. You look at Laporta, like I said. You look at guys like JSN, and JSN got drafted into a bad situation, and he's still been a great receiver. Addison, you've seen break out.
Jordan Addison, I think, is going to be really good. There's a
Zay Flowers has been
one
good.
name that you didn't mention.
Jameer Gibbs.
Puka Nacua.
I mean, yeah, Puka. I think Puka's that number 2 in that.
Yeah, I think it's definitely Puka. I don't know. Is CJ playing this week?
I think if CJ misses
Puka had his best year. Best week this year.
If CJ misses a few more games, then I think you have to give it to Puka because Puka might break Jamar's record for yards. He needs 129 yards in these last 2 games to break Jamar's record. And I think that
Stafford,
is a lot.
you know Stafford. He's gonna feed him the ball.
He is.
Like he did to Calvin Johnson before him.
Yeah.
Yeah. We did talk a bit about Puka before. I think I was a hater on him, and I'll admit I was wrong. I think his role this is shown. Puka is proof that Cup's role is a bit easier than some Cup fans might like to admit.
100%.
He's a very, very talented young receiver.
Yeah.
And I think that's that. I don't think he can debate his with the stats
I mean,
put up this year.
An award that we can't even predict. Walter Payton, whoever gets it, gets it.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know.
it's not even a predictable award.
No, it's not. So, offensive player of the year.
I think there's 2 guys. It's Tyreek or McCaffrey.
I agree. I think it's a coin flip. It can go either way.
I think it's really going to depend on these last 2 games. Like if Tyreek can get up in that 1,800, 1,900 receiving yards.
He's pushing for 2,000.
He's pushing for 2,000.
I think it should be Tyreek because let's say
realistically the MVP should be between those 2 guys, but it's a quarterback.
I think I'm not gonna say who my MVP is. You already said who yours is. I'm gonna wait, but I think with the 49ers you can put a number of different running backs in McCaffrey's spot.
Yeah.
They're not going to be nearly as good,
Yeah.
but they would still have a top offense.
Yeah.
I mean, McCaffrey, I was looking at his next-gen numbers yesterday.
They're ridiculous.
He's just, like, by far the best running back in the NFL.
Yeah.
And for what he does to make Brock Purdy's job easier. I mean, they have I saw that they have the highest early down run percentage in the league. So you give it to McCaffrey, let him get 6-7 yards, and now you have a 2nd and 3.
Yeah.
And that makes it much easier for Purdy to do his job and get the ball. So I'm gonna McCaffrey has a strong case. I think Tyreek has an even stronger case.
Yeah.
Without Tyreek, Tua was not.
No. Not at all.
Not what he is. He's definitely gotten better in his own right, but it's Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
And I think that's all we need to say.
MVP, I've said mine, Josh Allen. I think Dak, if he would have beat Josh, they would have been Dak. But I'm going to say Josh Allen.
I'm fine with that pick. I have Lamar Jackson, his 2nd MVP. He deserves it. All the hate he has been getting for these past 2 seasons, I think all of the haters just need to shut him.
Yeah.
Because this season, he has been... I don't know if I've seen someone able to avoid sacks the way that he has this season, other than Mahomes. Lamar evades sacks like no one.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
no one else. And he is doing this with Zay Flowers as his number 1 receiver who's good, but he's not proven.
He's a rookie.
He's a rookie. He's maybe a top 20 guy, but he's not a top 10 guy. He's definitely not a top 5 guy. You had Mark Andrews go out for the year, J.K. Dobbins go out for the year, and he's still winning games. Like, what are they? 10-4?
Yeah.
Or 11-3?
Yeah, I think they're 10-4.
I mean, we already talked about the defense. It's a very good defense, but Lamar is the one who's winning them games.
Yeah.
They blew the doors off of the Lions a couple weeks back. They beat the Ravens. I think that was with Burrow. I want to say that was with Burrow. I don't really remember.
Yeah, either way.
But yeah, I think this game on Monday is gonna be a really good one. Monday night,
Yes.
Niners Ravens. I'm excited to watch that. See what Lamar can do against that 49ers defense. Yeah, Ravens are 11-3. I think Lamar's consistent play across the year. He's had some down games, but his lows are not nearly as low as Allen's, where he'll throw 2 picks in a quarter.
Oh, 100%.
So, for that reason, I'm gonna have to go with Lamar. Okay, so now we'll move on to the staple segment. In every episode, every guest will be asked their Mount Rushmore of Philly athletes. I'm excited to hear your top 4. I think you told me it's filled with some hot takes, so
Yeah.
I don't really know what to expect.
I was thinking about this last night, and I mean, I don't know. I think there's a very fine line between your Philly greats and your Philly just like dogs. Like you have those guys that are just dogs, like Brian Dawkins, like Allen Iverson, Embiid, just dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have like your guys that are like, obviously like Schmidt, we don't know.
Legends, the legends.
But like, you have the legends. I mean,
they were out of our time. Like I said
Yes.
this last week, or 2 weeks ago, when I was talking with Luke on the podcast. I never watched Schmidt, so I'm not putting him on my.
what was yours?
I didn't give mine.
Oh,
I'm not sure if I really have one because obviously.
Throw it out there.
Okay, so this is tough. Obviously, I'm putting Joel Embiid at one spot.
Okay.
I think everything he's done for the Sixers, he has been the Sixers for the past 7, 8 years. We're gonna discuss Joel after this segment, but he's averaging 35 points a game this year. He's led the league in scoring the last 2 years. He has an MVP. Despite what you might say about his playoff success, he gets on lucky, and I think his injury luck is the worst I've ever seen. Sprained MCL. I forget who sprained their MCL this year, but they were out for 2 or 3 months, I believe, in the NBA. Joel played through that, and he played a playoff series against the Boston Celtics, and took them to 7 games. Obviously, he had a terrible performance against them, but that's not focusing. Everything he's done for the city, he's embraced the fans, and he's put up with a lot of terrible management, some questionable coaching, some selfish players who we don't need to name right now. I think Joel's one spot.
Okay.
Second spot, Bryce Harper. I'm saying this is in my lifetime, so I'm not going to put... Actually, I take that back. Bryce is going to be number 2 for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Number 3, I'm going with Chase Utley. He is another player who just embraces the Philly attitude. Some may say he was a dirty player, and they might be right, but
I disagree.
I think he's just a guy who'll go out every day, play 100 maybe 2 games. He was durable. He'll give you 25 in his prime, 30 home runs. He'll give you Gold Glove defense, batting high 200s, maybe he had a season with 300. But I don't know. He's just a really, really good player. He's tough. He brought us to a World Series ring. Then finally lost. But he's done a lot for this team. Then number 4, I'm gonna put an Eagles player on there. We have the magazine over there. It's Nick Foles.
Wow.
I think I don't have another Eagles player. I wouldn't put Shady on there, Wentz or anyone, but Foles gave us the first ring in Eagles history. And I think that goes a long way. He stepped in for Wentz. It was one of the best Super Bowls of all time. I think Foles will take that fourth spot. Even though he's not a long-time guy like, I don't know, like Dawkins.
Yes.
Or there's a few of, like, I don't know. Yeah.
I'm not going to give, like, an order. I'm just going to...
Okay.
Obviously, Bryce Harper. I think, in my opinion, the clutchest Philadelphia Philly of all time. A top 10 clutchest baseball player of all time. I just think there's just something about him. He always gets it done. Always gets it done.
There's definitely something to say about that.
I think Joel Embiid is also up there. I mean, Joel Embiid is getting up there, one of the best Sixers of all time. He's getting up in the top 10 center of all time. He's getting up in the top.
I think he's one of the best center.
One of the best scorers.
I think he's a top 10 center of all time.
One of the best scorers of all time.
Top 5 scorer, maybe.
Yes. Now,
you can go a lot of places.
Dude, I can go a lot of ways with this. I can go to the legends. I can go Randall Cunningham, Gordie Howe.
Okay.
But no, I'm not gonna.
I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
I think I'm gonna go.
Not ready for this last year.
Allen Iverson. I just think
that's a good
MVP
pick.
brought the Sixers to a championship, and I think one of the most disrespected athletes by his own team and city in Philadelphia. I just think the fact that he had to worry about getting traded after winning an MVP, after taking his team to the NBA Finals.
He was selfish though.
He was very selfish.
And he
agree.
He had his own off the court issues.
I agree, but I also think
He did become hated.
Get over yourself.
He did become hated for I think the end of his first stint in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I like that.
My number 4 is Donovan McNabb.
Oh my God.
By far the greatest quarterback in Eagles history. You can say what you want about Randall, say what you want about Mike Vick, say what you want about Nick Foles, as you mentioned earlier. Donovan McNabb took that Eagles team from after Randall left. You had that stint of just bad football, and you have Donovan McNabb come in and be a superstar. Take your team to Super Bowls. I mean, taking your team to the first Super Bowl that they've been to in years, almost winning, consistently having your team in the playoffs, consistently good records, by far owns all the Eagles' passing records. I just think, as a player, he was just too good and too influential to that Eagles team and the way that the Eagles shaped, as well as Andy Reid. I think Donovan.
Yeah, so I mean, you look at McNabb. In 2000, so he came into the league in '99. He was 23, but he wasn't a full-time starter.
Yeah.
He takes over as a starting QB in 2000. He's 11-5, second in MVP, and he is he's offensive player of the year candidate. Makes a Pro Bowl. Second year, 11-5. Third year, he only plays 10 games. I'm assuming he got hurt, but he's 7-3. Then he's 12-4, 13-2 in his age 28 season. That's a very, very good prime. He averaged, let's see, he threw for 110 touchdowns, 50 picks. That's not the best ratio, but I mean, it was the mid 2000s.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I don't think that's a bad pick at all. I just refrained from picking players that I didn't watch. I was not alive during the Super Bowl run, so I just...
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
Yeah. I think Luke Smith put... I forgot the guy's name is. He did put a flyer in there.
Gordie Howe.
I think it was. Is there a Bobby Clark flyer?
There is a Bobby Clark. Bobby Orr?
I don't know.
Somebody.
I didn't love his inclusion of the hockey player, but I'm not a hockey fan.
One of the biggest hockey, least hockey.
Biggest
hockey.
hockey haters. I'll admit it.
You are.
So let's move into our next topic. I think we can just touch on the season that Joel Embiid is having.
Yeah, I think we've already talked about it. I mean, he's unreal. 40 and a half points, 12 and a half rebounds, 60% shooting in the month of December. He's just
that is absurd.
Unguardable. He's been unguardable. Like Anthony Edwards had nothing to say after the game. He was just
against the best defense in the NBA with
yes.
Rudy Gobert, who people hate on.
But he's
a lot. He's an amazing defender.
He's
an amazing interior defender.
And I remember after that trade for Gobert, they said, "Oh, that's not going to work. 2 7-footers." They've been great.
This year, I think they've figured it out.
Yeah.
Joel's having the best offensive season of all time based off the PER. It's better than Jokic's season last year, which people all over Twitter were saying Nikola Jokic is the best offensive center of all time. He's averaging a triple-double. His PER is the best. His LeBron is the best ever. Well, Joel's is better this year.
Yeah. And
he's averaging 35 points a game on 56% from the field. With being
60% true shooting.
I think it's 62 or 63.
It's higher, yeah. But so, I also think if you go on
elite defense too.
Yes, you go on Twitter. You go on Twitter, and obviously over the past few years, you can always you go on Twitter. You go into Joel Embiid. There's 2 replies to every single post about Joel Embiid: free throw merchant, and can't play in the playoffs.
And flop.
Yeah.
And baby, whatever.
I disagree. I'm over it. You look at all the. I forget who was saying.
JJ Redick.
It was JJ.
All
Redick,
of the
yes.
greats.
All of the greats. All shot free throws. James Harden, who is one, in my opinion, a top 2 scorer of all time, had one of the greatest primes one of the greatest scoring primes of all time. James Harden was shooting 15 free throws a night.
He was.
And we're getting mad at Embiid. Yes, is Embiid shooting some games 20 free throws? Yes.
But so is Giannis. So is Giannis, and you don't hear this.
You don't hear it because Giannis can't make free throws.
The talk is not as loud for Giannis.
He's a 7-footer. He's 7'1", weighs 200 and probably 65, 70 pounds, and can hit his free throws. Giannis can't make his free throws. Shaq couldn't make his free throws. They only talk about his free throws is because he can make his free throws.
And he gets points off of the free throws.
Yes.
Another thing, speaking of NBA Twitter, I don't like that NBA accounts will post Giannis 50 points, 18 for 25 from the field, 15 rebounds, 3 blocks. Joel, it'll be Embiid, 45 points, whatever his field goal percentage, and then they will add in the free throws.
Yes.
But for Giannis, you don't put the free throws
in.
For whoever else, you don't put. For Luka, for Jokic, you don't put the free throws in, even if they did shoot double digits. But for Embiid, it's every single time like clockwork, and I hate that. I think one thing that people don't like about Embiid, in which I do agree, is the way he gets to the line.
Yes.
I saw a TikTok from an account yesterday, basketball account, about the amount of dunks that Joel had in a season last year, I believe, and then Shaq in his MVP season. Guess how many dunks Joel had last year?
50, 55.
78. Now guess how many Shaq had in his MVP season?
320.
He had almost 300 dunks. I think he had like 250, 270, something like that, which was 15% of his shot attempts. And Embiid, that number was at 6%. So Shaq was getting to the line because he was backing you down and literally just trying to stuff you into the net. But Embiid is getting his fouls on somebody has his arm over his, and then he flops back and knocks his head back.
And I think that's what people say, and I think a very underrated aspect of the game. Now, I haven't gotten to a game this year.
Ability to draw fouls.
I'd love to get to a game this year and see him. But I was talking to my friend Ian White, and he said he was at a game. I think he went to the Pistons game last Friday, and he told me that he loves Embiid.
50? 40.
Against the Pistons, 40 against the Pistons. He said he loves Joel Embiid. I mean, one of Joel Embiid's biggest fans is my friend Ian, and he said that a very underrated aspect is how well Joel can control the game, whether it's the speed of play, whether it's he said the way that Joel can control the speed of play and how everything's working. Like, oh, I want to go get fouled right here, boom. I want to go quick, boom. I want to waste the clock down, take a dribble, pull up, boom. I want to pass this. It's every single time. He's just going to control the game.
Yeah, he's dominant. He's definitely dominant in that aspect of basketball. I think the only problem with the way he plays is that attitude and mindset is not always there in the playoffs. And I don't think you can argue that. I think some playoff games in the Game 7 against the Celtics, he
100%.
looked like he would rather not be in that game. He looked like he would rather be on the bench. And it's that. So did James Harden.
Yeah.
And Doc Rivers was not helping whatsoever, but Joel just didn't have that same. He doesn't have the killer. He doesn't have that killer in him all the time, which is his biggest knock. But this segment was whether or not he deserves MVP.
Yes.
And I think that's a resounding yes. And I don't think it's a debate.
I mean, we can go through the awards in the NBA. I mean, MVP is Joel. 100%. 100%.
I haven't.
Rookie
It's hard
of the
to
year?
follow basketball
It is.
closely
I
during
think-
basketball season for me, so I haven't watched as much NBA as I would have liked.
Rookie of the year.
It's Chet,
it's
in my
Chet.
opinion.
Wemby's. He hasn't.
He's having
He's having your average 7'3"
Yeah.
year. Like he's not doing it. He hasn't done anything.
Chet, what he's been able to do
Yes.
offensively and
And
defensively,
defensively.
he's a very
100%.
good passer, and he's been clutch for
Yeah.
a playoff team, which pushes him a bit over Victor for me. I don't know Coach of the Year. I wouldn't mind giving it to Nick Nurse.
As of right now,
I wouldn't mind it. We're
as long as
number one in offensive rating.
as long as it
net rating
does-
and number 3 in
as
defense.
long as it doesn't go,
or efficiency.
as long as it doesn't go to Joe Mazzulla.
I hate
That's all I
Joe
care. I hate
Joe Mazzulla.
Joe Mazzulla with a passion.
I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't.
I
say
mean,
that.
I hate a lot of guys.
I
and
liked
Joe
Ime
Mazzulla.
better. I liked
No,
Ime
I didn't
better.
like either. I didn't like either.
Ime might be the Coach of the Year on the Rockets. I think.
Yeah.
I think they're in like.
I mean, what other awards are there? Sixth man? I mean,
It's Sixth Man of the Year and then Defensive Player of the Year.
Defensive Player of the Year. It's
Joel.
Joel or Gobert. I
I
think.
agree. That might be a little biased.
It might be biased. I mean, I don't watch enough NBA
Yeah, I don't.
to really look up the odds. I mean, they're going to be very early, but
Yeah, it's not even halfway through, so it's move the screen. So we have Gobert at minus 115. AD is a fantastic.
he is
defender.
a very underrated.
An underrated player as
Yes.
he is his peak at peak AD playing his best basketball.
He is great.
He may be a top 10 peak
Yes,
ever. He's dominant
he is
on
dominant.
both ends.
He
We
can
saw
shoot.
it.
He can
I was
do everything.
completely wrong about my not playing in-season tournament prediction. He was dominant.
Yeah.
The Blazers could get nothing in the paint. He was scoring every single time. He was like shutting down their offense. He can switch on to
100%.
guards. He can
Yes.
lock down bigs. Except he cannot lock down
Yeah.
Joel. Joel's down there at 4th, plus 1,800. I think it's probably Gobert's
It's going to get a lot.
award,
It's Gobert's award to lose. I think.
especially if they keep that number 1 defense
Yeah.
for the rest of the season. I think he's getting it.
Most improved is Tyrese Maxey or Tyrese Halliburton.
I think it could be Maxey. I saw on Twitter, I don't know if you know Jalen Johnson from the Hawks.
No.
He didn't really play much last year. I think he's in his 3rd year. He's just a pretty solid defender. He's scoring like 15 a game. He's become one of their better players, but I don't think he deserves it over Maxey. Maxey with another 30 and 10 game last night. So, I mean, that's Maxey's award.
Yep.
So, we can move on to
Some pop culture.
we can talk about the new Playboy Carti song that came out on Tuesday. He's been on a run these last 3 weeks.
He has.
A legendary run.
It has been great.
Releasing first Year of the Moon, or Different Day, whichever one you want to call it. Great song.
I love Year of the Moon. I think that.
Where does that rank for you in the 3 that he's released?
Like, probably last.
I would probably. I don't know. It's either 2 or 3 for me.
I think it's 3 for me. I think it's a very good song, but I think it's like he's kind of been growing into this like Carti that we're listening to now. So it's like hearing that first and like seeing now where he's gone. I think that's at 3, even though it's a great song. Then I think 2024 is at 2.
Oh wow!
So I don't like the first part of 2024. I just do not like it all. The baby voice Carti in the beginning of that song.
But it's the same voice he has
annoying.
on Different Day.
It's
so,
just annoying.
If Different Day is your third,
I think number one is the most recent song.
Hood by Air or Tundra, whichever.
Hood by Air, whatever it's called, I think is my number 1. I just think overall, with my favorite listen.
I love that he's tapping into that. Just a lot of people compare it to Future.
Yeah.
I would compare it to like a Future off DS2, which I have right there. I don't know where it is, but it's just a very like he is out for just throw that over 808s. He's coming different this time.
He is.
The deep voice is just menacing. Like it sounds like he really did go out. Like I don't know. Maybe he has been on the streets, but it sounds really good. And I like 2024 is my 1 because I love the baby voice, but then the deep voice he like features on his own song.
Yeah.
And he comes in and he's just like the first time I heard it, I was like, oh my god, like I was really surprised.
Yeah.
But mine goes 2024. Then the 2 and 3 are interchangeable. I guess depends on the day.
Yeah.
Between Different Day or Tundra. I mean, what are you expecting from the album? It's supposed to release in 2 weeks.
I'm expecting a lot of what we've got recently. A lot of some deep voice, some baby voice.
Variety.
A lot of variety.
I'm expecting variety as well.
I'm not expecting the usual like.
Whole lot of red sound. I think he's moved on, and I think
he has moved on. Yeah.
He is doing what Carti does. No 2 albums of his will sound the same, and I love that about him. He is an innovator. He's the GOAT.
Yeah.
So we have, speaking of Carti and new albums, Kanye Vultures got pushed back once again to January 12th, which my theory is that it's the 12th because Carti dropped on the 5th.
Yes.
Carti's featured on that.
Yeah.
I think
it's going to be an amazing album. I have very high expectations because it's Kanye.
Since the last episode, I will say this. Since the last podcast episode, he did have that listening party in...
Everybody sounds great.
He had the listening party in Las Vegas in that hotel room with the rant. He did go on another rant, unfortunately.
Yep. Calling out ex-Sixers owner, Michael Rubin. Like, just so random, out of left field.
Sad.
He has problems. He does,
but you know what's sad? Whoever was recording him on IG Live, stop the video.
Yeah, you need to.
He was talking about. He said, I'm in a room full of people, but I really feel all alone. Like nobody loves me.
Yeah.
And that's true. And it's just sad to see he knows nobody in that room really likes him for who he is. They don't want to be him for who he is. They want to be with him for the money and the fame. They want to leech off of him,
100%.
which is sad. He has bipolar disorder, and he has obviously said and done some very, very atrocious things in recent years. But he doesn't have support. He doesn't have people who are there to support him who actually care about him. Because if he did, they would stop. They would, for example, he thought Kim was trying to like institutionalize him because she wanted him on his meds. No, she just wanted the best for him.
Yeah.
It's sad to see what he's
It
turned
is.
into. I don't know what to expect from the album. Everything that wasn't Kanye sounded good to me. On everybody, his first verse, one in the pink, one in the stink. That's an atrocious line.
Some of the things he says is, but his daughter North. I
It's
love
your
North's snippet.
bestie, Miss Westie.
I mean, a great snippet. I loved it. I could listen to that all day.
Yeah, I think it's good.
It's surprising.
I think it's
But I
good.
think it's
The
very
Young
good.
Thug feature sounded really good. The Carti feature sounded pretty good. I think Ty Dolla on the album is
Yes.
the Cudi song, Kanye Cudi reunion. But I mean, I don't know. I don't really know what to expect. It's Kanye. For all we know, that entire track list could be scrapped by January 12th, and he has a whole new album.
Yeah.
So, before our final segment, holiday-related segment, I want to talk about the recent MLB signings.
Yeah.
Shohei Ohtani $700 million deal with the Dodgers. Who knows if the Phillies were in on that. Then Yoshinobu
Yamamoto.
is that his first name?
It's Yoshinobu Yamamoto.
Yeah.
300.
$300 million to the Dodgers. The
Glass
Phillies
now one.
and
as well.
Tyler Glasnow. The
100.
Phillies were in on Yamamoto.
Supposedly.
12-year deal they gave him, but he turned it down. I'm assuming to be with Ohtani.
Yes.
Um,
I just think it's just. Now this is why baseball, in my opinion,
it should have a salary.
it should have a salary cap, but they never could. You could never have baseball salary. You could never set a salary cap for baseball anymore, because the league can't pay teams like the Athletics or like the Reds. Like these are small organizations that don't have the money as the Dodgers, the Phillies, the
It's
Yankees,
not fair.
the Mets. It's not fair, and it's not fair to those teams. But at the same time, it's like you can't put a salary cap in because nobody's gonna want to play.
There's and owners and I think it just is. It's up to the owners, because the people who do own the Mets owners, is his name Steve Cohen, right?
Steve Cohen. No, they fired him. It's a new guy, but I forget who it is.
You can't fire an owner.
Steve Cohen's the GM.
I don't know who owns whoever their owner is.
It might still be killing right now.
Like a ridiculous amount of money. He spent a ridiculous amount of money on the organization. Like I just saw a new $1 billion renovation to Citi Field.
Yeah.
Which I mean, we were there. We know they need that renovation.
Yeah.
Because the lines to get in the stadium
They were unreal.
they were bad.
Yeah.
But then he'll go out and he signed Verlander. He signed Scherzer. He signed Marte in that offseason. And then you have owners like the Athletics who don't even want to pay for, they don't even want to pay to sign someone for $10 million a year.
Yeah. They can't.
Well, do they not want to, or can they not afford it? If you can't afford it, you shouldn't be an owner.
Yeah.
I feel like the league somewhat needs to step into teams like that who just refuse to pay their.
Yeah.
They refuse to pay anyone, and that's why their team is so bad.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, it's sad, but realistically, this Dodgers team, if this Dodgers team doesn't
If they don't win Dave Roberts,
120 games and they don't make a push for the World Series, Dave Roberts needs to go. I mean, they've had the best team in the league for the last 2 years anyway, and haven't done anything. And then they just signed the best player in baseball, and could be one of the best pitchers in baseball.
Yeah.
It's not fair to the smaller teams, but I think.
And as a Phillies fan,
Yeah.
I don't like it.
I hate it, but
We missed out on Soto.
Yeah.
That package wasn't really too impressive, I think.
No.
We could have put together a better one, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a little worried for the Phillies in the playoffs this
I am.
year because we just ran out of juice, and I think that Rob Thompson's not the guy who most Phillies fans make him out to be.
No, yeah.
So one of the final topics in honor of today being December 23rd, only 2 days until Christmas.
Yep. Annual Marcico Christmas party tonight.
Yep. Starting in less than an hour, but what is your favorite Christmas song? And then you can give a top 3. But what is your number
should we give a
1?
Mount Rushmore?
We can do that.
But you have to order them. You have to order them. All right, Christmas. We're gonna start with songs. I mean, number 1 for me. I think you have to go classic. All I Want for Christmas, Mariah Carey. I mean, it's a classic. That's my number 1. Like, if I go look at my playlist here, and I do have a Christmas playlist, as everyone should. I mean,
I don't have one.
When it comes to that time of year, you just need something ready to go at your hands. I mean, there's a lot
I'm making my list. I have my number 1 is solidified, but then I have my 2 and 3. I need my 4th.
One of my number 2, one of my favorites, Last Christmas by Wham.
I agree.
I just think it's an amazing song. It's a classic. It's a classic. It's always good. Like
it hits.
It does. It hits all. It hits. It's great.
The beat, their voices. That they have some great voices. That comes.
Is that
in,
your number 1?
No, that comes in at my number 2.
Okay.
I'm gonna say my number 3 is not an American song.
Feliz Navidad.
Yes.
I think I was going to include it. That doesn't make my list. My number 3, personally,
I have a personal connection to that.
Is the Christmas song with Nat King Cole. I just think
yeah.
it's a classic. When you think of Christmas, when you think of winter time, and you just think of that song.
That's my number 1.
Yes.
It is the best Christmas song of all time.
You just think of that song just playing as you're walking through a nice town. You're watching a Christmas movie. You're sitting around with the family.
The intro on the strings. Nat King Cole has a great voice, and it's just like, it's a perfect Christmas song, and it will be my favorite until, I don't know. I think it will be my favorite for the rest of my life.
And then
you have classics like Rockin' Around the Christmas
Rockin' Around a Christmas Tree, classic. You have I mean, you also have you have the child ones. You have Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. You have
That's not gonna crack.
Grandma Got Ran Over by a Reindeer.
Yeah.
You have some great ones. And now I have a sleeper, but I think it going into sort of the gospel side of things. Oh, come all ye faithful. Great. I mean, church, Christmas. It's just a great song. Church every Christmas Eve, just belting out the words. I just think it slides into my.
You belt the words out on Christmas Eve?
Yes.
Wow. I didn't know that. So, yeah, I think we can both agree that our lists were kind of similar. I think my 4 would probably be Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, you have to.
It's an iconic song. It's a little annoying to me because of how much it get played. You know, an underrated one, actually one that I sometimes overlook, it is Blue Christmas.
Blue Christmas is a great one.
That's a good Christmas song. So
go to movies.
Go over to movies. My favorite Christmas movie is not a movie. It's more of a Christmas special.
Oh.
It's called Prep and Landing. Have you ever heard of that?
No, I've not.
It's a really so it's an animated movie that it's about these elves and they go in and they prep for when Santa comes in.
I think I've seen it, but I don't remember it.
It's a Disney.
Really? One of your favorite of all?
Yeah.
Wow.
You watch it every single Christmas. and it's iconic. The first one, I believe, there's three.
Yeah.
First one's the best.
All right.
I would recommend you watch it because
I may have to.
It's good. So basically, they go in, and part of the reason I love the Christmas song by Nat King Cole is because it's the opening to this.
Yeah.
And when I was younger, we used to watch it every Christmas, like I said. So basically, the elves go in, they go in the chimney, they put the fire out, and they like prep for Santa. So they like go and like trim the tree and stuff. It's good. That's my number one.
Number two.
Other than that, actually, that's my number two. Home Alone is my number one.
The first Home Alone?
Yes, the first Home Alone.
Okay.
And then my number three is Home Alone 2.
Okay.
And I only have three because I don't like Christmas movies that much.
I agree. I think
Actually, you know what? My number four is the animated The Grinch. My number three is animated Grinch. I'm going to move Home Alone 2 to number four. The animated Grinch was a very good movie.
my number one Christmas
Pharrell
movie.
soundtrack.
My number one Christmas movie. The Santa Claus 2.
Okay.
Or
Maybe I'll
just
have to watch
Just
that. I've
the
never-
Santa Claus as a series.
Isn't there like 5?
I think there's like 3, but it's great. I just love tuning in. I forget what the actor's name is. Let's see.
It is Tim Allen. Is that?
Yes,
who it is?
Tim Allen. It's Tim Allen. Plays a great Santa Claus over those three movies. I think it's just great. It's just a great movie series. But the Santa Claus is gonna go my number one. My number two, probably Elf. I just think a classic, funny, like a go-to, like
How can I leave Elf off?
yeah, a go-to pick. There's a lot, but I think like number 3, I'd go Home Alone. Probably. I think it's a classic. It's an iconic movie. It's always a good watch. It's great. And then my 4 slot. It's tough. I mean, there's a lot of good movies. You have The Grinch. You have The Polar Express is awful. I hate.
That's kind of a hot take, you know.
I hate The Polar Express.
Tom Hanks played the voice of like 5 characters.
He does. I hate The Polar Express. I just don't think it's a good movie at all.
So the number 4 spot is still up in the air.
The number 4 spot, like let me do some research here, see if I get any inspirations.
Yeah, I don't like Christmas movies that much. I think the National Lampoon Vacation
Yes, Christmas Vacation.
is a good that's a good series. I feel like there's a couple of those movies. They're kind of funny. But other than the classics, I don't know.
Like, is what's it called, a super movie? Or is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
I've never
in
seen
your
it.
opinion. Either have I. So I was wondering if you did. But
So wait, were you just gonna put a movie that you've never seen in the number 4 spot?
No. A Christmas Story, a classic.
My mom loves that movie. I've never seen it fully through.
It's pretty good. I mean, it's not bad. It's okay. I mean, there's like Elf, obviously, Christmas Vacation. And there's just like the Muppet Christmas. There's like just like a bunch of random Christmas movies that were played, a bunch of Christmas specials. I mean, The Office Christmas specials, amazing. I don't know if there ever was a Bojack Christmas special.
No, there wasn't.
There should have been.
Actually, the Christmas segment was supposed to be our last, but can we just spend a little bit of time talking about Bojack Horseman?
We can. The second greatest animated television show.
What's coming at number 1 for you? The Simpsons?
Family Guy is my number 1.
Okay.
I mean, Family Guy is just a classic. You can go to it, watch it, whatever.
100%.
But Bojack Horseman is just an unreal show. All the viewers watching, if you have not watched,
If you made it
if
this
you
far,
made it this far, let's start off that.
If you made
it this far, and you really care, just watch Bojack Horseman.
Please.
I mean, It will change your life. It is an unreal show that digs in to everything you can.
I think that Bojack it might do the best job at really showing what it is to just be a person.
Yes, and I think
you can have the money. You can have the money, the cars, the houses, the girls, whatever. But when it comes down to it, you still just might not be happy. You just might not be. And that's just life. It's just the way. Like for Bojack, this might be a little spoiler, but no matter how much he did, who he dated, what roles he picked up, he just never felt like he was enough.
No.
And he always ended up resulting back.
And even if you have never dealt with anything that Bojack's dealt with, if you're watching the show, there is something in that show that you will relate with Bojack Horseman with, no matter what. 110%. It is just a phenomenal show that I think every person should watch fully through. Yeah. In their lifetime. And you can ask Ben. Ben hated the first season. The first season is awful. The first season, they were testing the waters. I mean, they start off, it's your normal animated show. Just mess around, stupid jokes. It's your normal, and you're obviously, there's serious topics here and there, but it's your normal animated show. Season 2, you're really, it's it gets into it and quick.
Yeah, it gets into a lot of stuff. Bojack is, so I'm not a big fan of all the other characters. I like Diane to an extent. My low-key, one of my favorite characters is Henrietta, or not Henrietta, what's her name? Beatrice.
Beatrice, yeah.
She's a very complex character.
Yeah.
You don't really learn much about until later in the show, but I think that it's just masterful, the show. It really is. The things that Bojack has to deal with throughout the show.
Yeah. Which,
obviously, Sarah Lynn.
His parents.
Diane, never loving him. Diane.
Herb.
What was the girl?
Mr. Peanut Butter.
What was the girl's name? Hollyhock.
Hollyhock.
That girl who the high school girl and the mom. I forget what her name is. Ed Helms plays the dad.
Yeah, I forget who the mom. I forget what her name was.
But
it was Heather or something.
I don't know.
No, I forget her name, but just the stuff that he has to go through is just shocking. And
it is. It's and one thing I think they do well is, even though it's an animated show, like we already said, it really gets into a lot of serious topics and serious issues. And something I even forgot to mention: when Bojack strangled the girl on the show on Filbert, and then he had to go on that talk show about it. It discusses a lot of different things.
It does,
and it's really good.
Yeah,
it's something that I would recommend everyone watch. At least once. It's a really good show. I think that's all I have. Unless you want to push it to an hour 30.
I think it's been great.
I think that's all I have. Episode 2. This is the wrap up. I will have this out hopefully it could be out by tomorrow, a little Christmas present for all the viewers who are out there and they watched this far. Thank you for tuning in if you made it till the end. And there will be more than a few episodes releasing this break because I have to get them out or else I won't get credit for these. So, thank you, Garrett. Thank you for coming on.
It was a pleasure.
Always
is. Thank you.
I just told social that shit was the boss. We living our life and we living it large. I was born like this, I cannot fall. I been like this, I'm not like y'all. I can't go to the mall, I'm bigger than the mall.